Hello there. I know this is somewhat a sudden video that I kind of wanted to record a while ago. It's basically gonna be about something that one of my chatters in one of my live streams suggested me to do, like a Ventures loadout video, because the others they saw was outdated. But when it comes to like recommending loadouts for Ventures, honestly, we've been having the same 5 seasonal cycles that kind of kept to the same modifiers of their respective seasons, unless they decided to change some modifiers all of a sudden. But we don't know, so yeah, that means I will not be making these kinds of videos seasonally, maybe yearly, since there are like new players getting into Save the World, which is cool, and they want to do ventures and all that stuff. If you're one of those players, then you've come to the right place. So for every season modifiers we know so far, we have the Rage modifier for the Blasted Badlands, which you need to kill husks for energy since it doesn't regenerate. Short ranged modifier for Hexylvania, you deal higher damage when up close, but less damage the further the distance you shoot. Super buffed modifiers for Flannel Falls. Each hero has their own buffs and debuffs. Escalation modifier for Mild Meadows. Every certain amount of husks kills, you'll detonate an explosion that could damage or debuff husks. And lastly is the Bouncy Husks and Super Treasure modifier. You knock them back way easier, and a certain randomly generated number of husks kills you have, they will drop loot chests. That's all we know so far, and at any point, we don't know if they'll ever change any of those modifiers, so a Venture loadouts video like this one could come in handy. So this shouldn't be like a seasonal thing unless I need to update this. Well, this video will most likely be uploaded some time on a Venture rotation, which is in like a month as of recording. Anyways, I do have several loadouts I can recommend that you can use for your Ventures missions. I know it may not be like ideal to everyone, but I try my best to be close to a general perspective of what most people, or maybe I, use during the grind. So feel free to use whatever you see fit, and you can change the support team if one doesn't seem best for your playstyle and whatnot, or you can like replicate the loadouts shown here. I'm totally fine by that. So the first of many is the Teddy Duration loadout. It's a good loadout when you're starting off at the very beginning of Ventures by just throwing your Teddy and kill as many husks as possible by just tapping them out, assuming that you may have a full team in your lobby that can boost your ability damage by a percentage. Metal Team Leader is the commander here. I believe she was in the very first starter pack for Save the World, the day when Epic decided to like take away the founders stuff. Her perk is increasing the duration of the Teddy by 12 seconds, which is long enough to stay in the field. If you don't have her, Enforcer Grizzly is another Outlander that has the very same commander perk. And with the team perk is Happy Holidays to reduce cooldown on abilities by 40%, and which will help a lot for the Teddy to be ready again. And the support team is the Berserker, increasing the overall damage of the Teddy. Bear Stare perk fires lasers every 2 seconds. The Teddy is on like on the field dealing energy based damage. Fragment Generation perk gives you 1 charge per certain amount of kills. A charge of fragment helps reduce cooldown of certain abilities like the Teddy and the Shock Tower, for example. Another good reason why we have Happy Holidays to reduce even way more of the cooldowns. Overbearing perk increases the range of Teddy by a couple tiles and deals extra damage depending on the distance, which makes Teddy even more powerful. And the last support is Survivalist for some healing output. This loadout is actually great for a head start, but perhaps not for when you reach a higher level of missions. So let's move on to the second loadout, and it is the one I highly recommend to almost everyone to have a loadout like this to be like the most helpful teammate in the lobby. A constructor loadout. I have Base Kyle as the lead commander here. He is very well known for increasing the health of the structures by a huge margin. I kid you not, he is always gonna be your first green rarity hero. You get him right after finishing the tutorial mission, so he will always be that hero you might want to consider keeping. The team perk is recycling, the same way you get Base Kyle, because yeah, you won't have that many build materials if you're responsible capable of building on the objectives in defense missions. So when you spend them a lot, unless you have like supply drops or you've farmed for a bit in between, you can have supercharged traps if you want your traps to do more damage. But I would say recycling would probably be the most ideal team perk for ventures. In the support team, power modulation perk automatically repairs structures by a small percentage over time whenever a base is placed on a build, and it is super useful. Another constructor I highly recommend getting too, next to like base Kyle. Mega base perk increases the range of your base by like one full tile. Even in support, the perk is still useful even if your build is like one tile bigger than usual. Work increases your pickaxe damage. This is just my personal preference. So whenever I want to farm a bit instead of like relying on supply drop gadget, I could go around the map and pickaxe some things for loot. So it's something that I can utilize for farming materials and stuff. The other two support perks are kind of like the same thing. Electrified floors. When any husks walk over the structures I build, this perk is replaceable. If you rather want to snare down husks instead, Ice King is alright here too. Fully contained perk, if any husks hit the walls, they take damage. I would say you can also replace this, perhaps like a utility hero, like survivalist for healing, or bomb suit or saurian hide for armor if you feel like squishy. You have like quite a lot of options for like a constructor build like this. The third loadout is actually my favorite one. I use it a lot, and it's a spectacular high DPS build, in which we all know is the minigun loadout. I have Diecast Jonesy as the commander lead for this loadout. He increases overall damage with Going Commando by 50% and converts his minigun's element from physical to energy. That is huge. Any mission can be just physical husks that you'll deal with, but most higher power level missions you're going to run will mostly be elemental storms, meaning energy element will be most useful. But there is another hero if you just prefer to have like a faster cooldown and wanting to keep your damage per second more consistent. Commando Spitfire, which he is in the support team here, can be commander for this loadout as well. You could probably just swap places and the loadout is still viable. Happy Holidays as the team perk, like the Teddy one before, to reduce ability cooldown. Gone Again perk reduces cooldown for the minigun, so once again, he is also good as a commander if you want to bring up your minigun faster. Ain't Done Yet perk increases duration for the minigun. Very useful perk now that we can cancel the ability at any moment we need. First Cup of the Day is actually what makes this loadout amazing. It increases crit rating and crit damage while your minigun is active. It's just that Ted has a great perk and worth picking him up for this loadout. Fuel for the Fallen perk. This perk is really great for the rage modifier that I explained earlier. That is in the Blasted Badlands Venture season. For this perk, for any kills you do over 3 seconds, you gain energy. Well, of course, this is honestly replaceable if the current season you are in doesn't have the rage modifier. You can have like, for example, Azalea Clark to increase ability energy damage, since Diecast minigun is energy, or Swamp Knight if you want to deal more damage on mist monsters the less health you have, and many more you can put onto this. And lastly, Survivalist for healing. Now on to the next one, is something I somewhat use here and there, but not a lot. It is a ninja loadout, since I know some of you obliviously love running ninjas only if it's a strict culture thing or a habit you can't break. Then this loadout could be for you. A Paleoluna loadout. Of course, Paleoluna on Commander, because she is the melee queen in the game. Her perk relies on your current health and puts 9% of it to the melee weapon damage, and 9% is a lot if you are at full health. And with the team perk being Blakebeard's stash, with a certain amount of kills, there is a chance you'll get a chest that gives you peg legs, coconuts and cannonballs you can throw. Swap the deck perk increases club damage. The piglet you get from the team perk chest is a club weapon, thus making this perk very useful when using club weapons. Going coconuts perk gives you a consumable item that heals you for like a great amount when you search containers around the map, and also increases your overall damage by a lot. Avast Mateys perk increases cannonball damage by 20%. You'll get some cannonballs from the chests you pick up after killing enemies, so the same scenario as the first perk. Saurian Hide for more armor, since this is a squishy build and you'll most likely lose shields. You can put the bomb suit if you prefer to keep the shields. I just have Saurian Hide because my shields are usually out. And lastly, Assassination perk. It gives a stackable buff that increases melee weapon damage up to 5 stacks, which complements really well with Paleoluna's perk. It may look like a basic melee loadout, but trust me, it is actually good for the short-ranged modifier in the Hexylvania Venture season, in which you need to get close to husks to deal extra damage. So I guess we are back to an Outlander loadout, but this time it's a farming loadout. This is the one I use very frequently when I need to farm, because Archaeologist here reduces energy cost for the anti-material charge, making you punch way more. So she is in the commander spot for that. Blast from the Past is the team perk here, with Saurian Focus and Saurian Hide activating it. If you prefer to like regenerate more energy rather than using a lot of AMC, Fossil Southie can also be a good commander. High Caliber Harvest, for any objects you break with the AMC, you get a chance for doubling the materials you receive. An amazing farming hero for both support and commander. I have Gadgeteer perk in support here because I want to grab even more materials with the supply drop. For sure, you can change it to something else, like having Flash AC to reduce your phase shift cooldown, or Pathfinder Gist to increase pickaxe damage, and whatsoever. Lastly is going coconuts. For any container you search, you get coconuts that heals you, which makes this a utility support for whenever you need to heal yourself. If this farming loadout is not what you really wanted, or you just want to grab even more materials, move from place to place, and not care much about punching a lot, then this clip loadout might do better for you. As explained with the Clip's perk from the previous loadout, she does very well in both support and commander. The team perk is Long Arm of the Law. It increases the anti-material charge range by a tile that will most likely be very helpful for Clip, since she gives 100% chance to double the loot on lead, so having her punch at a further range is great for her. Phased and Confused perk to increase the max charge you can have on the phase shift ability. Phase Forward perk increases your movement speed by 60% if you want to move faster. Phased Out to reduce cooldown on the phase shift. Going coconuts as explained before. And lastly, Strike Cost, just so that Clip's punch is cheaper. Of course, some of these can be changed on your liking. For example, if you still want to be tanky with the Clip, you can probably just swap out Archaeologist with the previous loadout here, or maybe just a couple changes on this one out with more versatile heroes and many more. Building farming loadouts are pretty comprehensive, so whenever you feel like farming, you have so many options for it. And here is the last loadout for the ninjas people again, and this one is a fun one. A Dragon Scorched loadout. Believe me, I only use this loadout like just once or twice, because personally I don't like using ninjas a lot. They have like the lowest base health out of all the other classes, so that's why I'm not very fond into using them much, but I still care for people that likes them. Dragon Scorch perk on commander increases the dragon slash range and width by a couple tiles, and the overall damage as well. It makes him pretty ideal for crowd clearing, like breaking encampments for example, so he could also be ideal loadout just like the Teddy one. Team perk is Blast from the Past for health, because of course he is very squishy, but if you want to spam the dragon slash ability, Happy Holidays team perk is good too. But on my end, the dragon slash ability doesn't really have a very long cooldown in my opinion. It's like 10 seconds max, so it's not too bad for me, so I went for the tanky one instead. Saurian Focus and Saurian Hide, as explained before on the farming loadout. Fuel for the Fallen, like before. Fallen Love Ranger fits great for the Blasted Badlands modifier, so this spot in the support team can be replaceable, like having Sarah Hotep to reduce energy cost, or have Willow to increase ability damage based on your lost health. Saurian Fight if you just want to like just increase ability damage, as long as you don't have shields, and many other like cool heroes you want to place here. Tail of the Dragon perk. Whenever you use Dragon Slash, it leaves a trail of fire that deals energy-based damage for like a certain time, which is actually pretty strong. After using the slash thingy and some husks survived your slash, they can take damage from that whenever they're like in the vicinity of the trail you've slashed through. It's like Affliction, but they have to be close to the trail to take damage. And the last perk is Going Coconuts. The same thing I've said on the previous loadouts. So yeah, definitely a fun ninja loadout to mention whenever you feel like clearing so many husks, breaking encampments, and all. Okay, that should be all of the loadouts I can recommend for all 5 different seasons. If you don't have some or any of the heroes that are mentioned here, including the support teams and team perks, the one and only loadout that I can give you to start off, the easiest to build, is the constructor loadout. Base Kyle will always be one of your first heroes you've got. The recycling team perk is great to farm back the building materials you've spent in the missions, so that has and should be a go-to loadout if you want to be a great teammate. Anyways, I hope you find this video helpful in a way. Good luck on leveling adventures. If you want to know good tips about grinding adventures, I have a separate video talking in deep details about it, so make sure to go give it a watch. I'll link it in the description for you guys to see it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy, take care of yourself, and love yourself, guys.